Okay. So, I was watching another Grungeon Master video recently. Recently is relative. I'm recording these 2 to 3 weeks before they're released, and they're usually written a week or so before that. So, I will post a link to the video I'm referencing. It's going to be about a month old by the time this gets put out. So I was watching it, and this time around he took a stab at fixing the economy in D&D, how money works and why prices tend to stay the same over however many thousands of years. He managed to determine a basis for standardized pricing through the use of magic spells and set measurements. And it works. So far as I can tell, it works. I did a little bit of the math, and everything plays together nicely. There are some things he left out, however. No shade on him, he's not an economist, and neither am I. But the only problem that I can find in the work he did is inflation. Keeping the standardized prices from changing. He did address this problem and using fixed commodity pricing. The value of gold is always the same. The value of a gem is always the same, that sort of thing. The problem lies outside of that. Inflation can happen for reasons other than commodity value, the main one being labor costs. In D&D 5e, there's a set wage for a laborer. That being 2 silver pieces a day, which is the cost of living for a poor lifestyle. So that's living hand to mouth. That's subsistence with no savings. And there's no real banking or interest system in D&D, so no usury that's set and organized. So 2 silver a day will pay your rent and buy your food and nothing else. No hidden nest egg, no emergency fund, no retirement fund, nothing for the future, no disposable income. But in order for society to work, you need disposable income. It has to happen. It has to be a part of how everything goes together. So anyway, inflation can happen, and does happen, outside of commodity value when the cost for labor goes up. Because that increases the total cost of production for everything and anything. Goods and services, planting and harvesting crops, building a wagon, anything that requires work has a labor cost, and if that labor cost goes up, the price goes up. As much as Grungeon Master solved a lot of the problems with the Dungeons & Dragons economy, there's a way to do more without magic. And it comes from our real world history. The terrors of this... There it is. The terrors of this computer for which I cannot find my mouse. Okay, what we're talking about is assize courts. England had them for a long time, most famously dealing with the assize, the court set price for bread and beer, as well as the wool trade to some extent. What an assize are both the courts that determine the rules for pricing and the laws that they enact to enforce those rules. I use them in my world building. what they do, both historically and in a game world, is test and measure how much labor, how much material, and the total production cost for anything, and then lock in that value for whatever they tested, and that's the set price for whatever it is, including a profit margin. So there will be a disposable income at the end. You know, whether it's how many loaves of bread you can make out of 10 pounds of flour, and how much a loaf of bread should cost, or how many days of labor it takes to plant and harvest enough grain to grind into 10 pounds of flour, and how much the grain should cost. You don't have to set up an actual assize court for your game to use this system either. The prices are already listed in the books. You can just use it as a hand wave to explain why the prices are, and why the prices are what they are, and why the cost of living hasn't changed in 1,000 years. They haven't needed to because everything works. Being that I'm a little OCD and I'm pedantic, yeah, I set one up for my game world. The assize courts in Texta are in the city of Dapnomwick, which is run by druids and is based around all kinds of farming. Grains, vegetables, sheep, orchards, and honey all come from here, and they control the prices for all of it for the whole nation. Kind of like halfway between a trade union and a mix between a trade union, a guild, and a mafia. They control. That's it. But it works. Scrolling up again. The joys of a fucking laptop. I can use the courts as an encounter. If somebody's caught price gouging or undercutting their competition by not paying their laborers the legal wage, or like in some historic cases, like if a baker is mixing things into their flour to get an extra loaf or two out of that 10 pound bag, and charging the same price for it, then they're debasing the product. They're debasing the quality. And that's a crime. You have to be honest about what you're using. You can't mix half barley or half rye into your bread, into your wheat flour, and still call it wheat bread. You have to be honest about it. Player characters could get caught up in this as a witness or as a victim if they took a job that was underpaying, or if they bought inferior product from someone and paid full price for it, or if they paid too much for something, or they could be criminals if they hired someone and didn't pay them enough. Commodity prices like the value of gold don't change in D&D, and Grungeon Master has offered us good reasons why. Now you've got a reason why labor costs and consumer prices haven't changed either. With an economy locked and that's locked in and stable, the only thing left to deal with is how do individuals get ahead in life? How do they get disposable income if they're living hand to mouth? This is where adventuring comes in, or it's an excuse for adventuring to come in. As well as several other side gigs. A farmer's wife might spend her spare time sewing, repairing clothes for the neighbors, and earning a few coins here and there. A shepherd might pick berries when he's tending his flock and bring those home to sell. And if somebody can't find a job, they might decide to become an adventurer and hire themselves out to anyone that needs a monster killed or a princess rescued. Or more likely, somebody that needs the rats killed in the basement of the tavern. Adventuring might start out as someone just taking on odd jobs that nobody else wants because you can't find a real job. If it turns out to be lucrative, you might just keep doing it. So now we've got a reason for why prices don't change in our D&D worlds. We've got an explanation for how and why prices and values work the way they do. And we've got a couple of encounters and adventure hooks for your games. As I said, I've linked the Grungeon Masters video on the economy on this topic in the description below. Please go watch it. It's really informative and useful. But let me know what you think. Is this something you might use in your games? Do you have a different way to deal with the economy, or do you deal with it at all? Do you just ignore it? Share your ideas, and as always, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I've been hovering around 245 subscribers for a while now, and it's no, I don't have a Patreon. No, I don't have a Discord. No, I don't have I don't have anything like that. I'm not making ad revenue. Can't make ad revenue until I get, I think, it's either 500 or 1,000 subscribers and like a couple of thousand watch hours a year. So maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But in the meantime, I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. And I'll post a video every Sunday first thing in the morning, either until I run out of ideas or until enough people tell me that I shouldn't be doing it. Anyway, talk to you next time.